everyone, and welcome to Cat Chat. I'm Kat, and why did the classical guitarist put his guitar in the fridge? Because his music would be cooler. Right, so I'm really sorry about that. Today we have a special guest who is in fact a classical guitarist. So everybody please welcome Kevin Loh. Yay!
Hi.
Now, Kevin is an award-winning, world-famous classical guitarist, one of Asia's leading classical guitarists. He has been awarded a Grant by the Rolling Stones. He's played all around the world, won many awards, and he's here to talk to me about himself and his work. And so, Kevin, just go ahead, tell us about you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kevin. I'm a classical guitarist from Singapore. I came over to the UK when I was 12 at the Yehudi Menuhin School to pursue further studies in classical guitar and music in general. And that's where I was very fortunate to have received that bursary from the Rolling Stones. And subsequently, I started my undergrad at the University of Cambridge. And that's where I'm now doing my final year.
That's brilliant. And also, I forgot to mention, but you're kind of like Justin Bieber in the way that you got talent scouted by YouTube.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that happened because the Menuhin School invited me to audition through my YouTube channel at the time, which is very sort of unconventional to my knowledge. Yeah, really fortunate.
But really cool as well.
Yeah.
So wait, that was when you were 12. So when did you actually start playing?
I started playing when I was about 5. I actually started with the violin beforehand when I was about 4.
Then you realized the violin is very boring and incredibly hard, and you can't actually play at parties with it.
The story goes that I had violin lessons for 3 months. And at that point in time, my teacher was very old and I was always running about in class. So the idea was my teacher kicked me out because I was running around and he could not babysit me. And so, catch after me all the time. So yeah. I think playing the guitar was my dad's way of getting me to sort of sit down and not move. Because my dad played guitar as a teenager on his own. He was self-taught and he decided to teach me guitar. He was actually my first teacher. And that's how we sort of made guitar and music as a family bonding activity, which is really, really fun. And that's how I sort of made progress by playing a little bit every day, with family and just having fun. So, yeah.
That's so nice. But you have been taking professional lessons since you were...
So I started taking lessons when I was about 9 or 10. That was the point in time where I decided to take guitar a bit more seriously. And I was then having master classes, going for summer courses and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I was going to go to the UK at 12, but that was such good timing. That was the huge push I needed to take the next step into my further musical education. So
no, but you got to work with some really cool classical guitarists.
Yes, I through the school got to meet some of the biggest names in the classical guitar world. And, being a sort of young kid from Singapore, so far from it all, I would have never thought that, I would ever have the opportunity to meet them in person, no doubt, and actually have lessons and work with them. So, that was mind blowing for me.
And I mean, you say within the classical guitar world, it is a small world though, isn't it?
Yes, very much so. I think if you think classical music is a niche, and classical guitar is a niche within that niche.
Yeah.
And it's feel like that just means that there's so much room and opportunities for the whole scene to grow and develop. And I'm constantly trying to for example, back home, I do a lot of workshops for young students in schools and stuff like that. And so just raising awareness of classical music through the guitar.
That's such a good idea. And also to see a little kid fall in love with an instrument because you've exposed them to it, that's just the most wonderful feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like the guitar being the instrument that it is, we are sort of poised to be a more sort of accessible route for people because of the guitar's position in popular music. Everyone sort of knows what the instrument looks like and what you do with it. So I feel like, okay, actually, although I'm coming in from the classical perspective, it's not so foreign to them. So that does help in a way.
Yeah, but it's also, you also play some popular music. I mean, I saw on your YouTube channel, you do funky covers of things.
For me, I enjoy doing a little bit of everything. and the classical technique does transfer over to all these different styles and genres. And I feel passionate about trying to break down the barriers of the accessibility towards classical music. In Singapore, for example, the general audiences aren't, say, as inclined to classical music as in the Western world, right? So I feel like, and at the same time, music's for enjoyment, it's for everyone's pleasure. It doesn't matter what genre it is. People enjoy music no matter what. So I don't think just because, I play classical music, I have to, shun people off, from coming to catch me, perform or something like that. Yeah. And, you just want to make sure that ultimately people have a good time when they come and catch a concert, right? They want to enjoy themselves. So I feel that not only do I enjoy playing other genres, but I feel it's also useful to have programs that are more varied and not always having, very sort of proper stuff in the program. So I try and mix it up a bit. Yeah.
Good. So you've also played all around the world.
Yeah. London, obviously, because I'm here, and then Tokyo at the iconic Suntory Hall. That was part of a charity initiative called Child Aid that originated from Singapore. But the idea is that it's a concert series that's run by kids and raising funds for underprivileged kids who have not had exposure to the arts. And all that funding that we raise, it's something I'm very passionate about, actually. It's funding that goes to these kids to have free, arts-related education. So if they've not had exposure to music or dance before, they then get the opportunity after school hours to go and have lessons in these the arts academies that are supported by these charities. So yeah, I mean, it's so amazing that, just part of the job means getting to travel to all these places. I'd never been to Berlin. I'd never been to Japan. It's just so amazing to me, all these amazing people, not just from the music making side, but also through the social aspect as well. One of the charities in Japan, for example, for the Child Aid Project, was helping to raise funds for an orphanage. And we actually got down to see the kids in person in the orphanage. So it's like, really sort of being there in action. It's not just for show whenever you talk about, we're raising funds for this charity. And, sometimes for me, I feel like, okay, sure, I can just give a concert and not worry about the charity part at all. But for me, being able to go down in person definitely adds another layer of the humanity towards what we do with music as a sort of social endeavor. So that's one of the reasons why I'm super passionate about how we try to use music as a way to bring people together. I kind of sort of got distracted with that a bit from your initial question.
But it's really important, and it's so good to see somebody using the opportunities you're given as a musician to extend them further and just to do as much good as you can, because that is what we're all trying to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's also all of these festivals and concerts also expose you to all of the other musicians out there who are around our age and who are doing what you're doing but are from somewhere completely different. So how have you found that, sort of just seeing how people you've been meeting in different places are progressing and doing very different things, but with very different resources to yourself?
I feel that within the context of Singapore, there are very few classical musicians, and even classical guitarists, even less, right? So we don't necessarily have the most sort of fertile environment to cultivate more guitarists and more musicians in general. So anything, when I came out to the UK, having had such an amazing education experience and sort of being immersed in such a culturally rich area, everything just looked better to me. And I think it was just really interesting to observe, certainly within the Menuhin School as a focal point, how so many young kids from all over Europe or all over the world are super, super talented and being able to work with these people. And it's, as you said, sort of very interesting to notice how everyone coming from different backgrounds, not just academically, but culturally or whatever backgrounds they've come from, that influence the way they've been brought up to play. Whenever you make music, you're just accepting, we're sort of accepting everyone for who they are, and all the colors just mix, and we just do our best to put some sort of music together, whether that sounds good or not. But at least we are pouring ourselves into what we do, and it's okay for all of that to be, a mashup of different cultures and, different colors. So
and also, it's quite interesting to see because, for classical guitar, music has been somewhat limited in comparison to other instruments, and because it's so new, and because it has become more popular in the last few years, it's interesting to see how it's been shaped and how everybody who's currently the best at what they do is influencing the guitar rather than the guitar be sort of and the school and the part of the world where you're from or anything at all. All the external aspects are actually less important than all of the individuals who are adding something to the instrument and to the instrument's history, because it's only actually being written at the moment.
That's a great point. I feel like with the classical guitar, it's very funny because it actually had a very, very long tradition, so it's very old. But at the same time, it's very new in terms of, as you rightly mentioned, all the repertoire. It's rather limited, but that also means that there's so much room to expand and develop that repertoire. So at the same time, as the music is being written here and now, it's really interesting to observe the relationship between composer and performer. A lot of the time, whenever we are commissioning or creating new works for the instrument, it's a lot more collaborative in the compositional process compared to the standard Western canon where, the composers, start from start to finish, worked on everything. But with guitar, I feel that it's really interesting to observe that dynamic. You don't necessarily have one composer anymore. You have a few people working together to put the work together. So I think there's definitely a lot of room to create new interesting things that we haven't seen before, not necessarily in terms of its end result, but certainly through the process, which is a lot more varied than what it used to be.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And it's also on a fun side note, you always get to play as much Bach as you want, or as much of anything that wasn't written for guitar but has been adapted. But you get this whole other world that is only associated with this instrument. So that's actually kind of like the best of both worlds in a really beautiful way. It is a really exciting time to be a classical guitarist, I can imagine. And it's so nice to see that all the good that you're doing within your position, and using all of your experiences to not only educate yourself further and to experience things as a musician, but also as an individual. And I just think that's brilliant. Now, as we are approaching the end of this episode, I do think it's time to play a little game if you're up for it.
All right, let's go.
So, because we've talked about classical guitar so far, I think it's only fair that you show us how much you actually know. Now,
oh dear,
I'm going to test you by playing you just little snippets of pieces that you have played, and you're going to try and guess them. And this way, we will also be able to hear some of your brilliant performing. So,
sure.
Good luck. Right.
Okay, yeah. That Andrew York.
It is indeed.
Waiting for Dawn. Oh. Yeah, I know this one. This is the Sergio Assad Remembrance, I think.
It is indeed. Right.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, I was just playing this the other day. That's Beatles.
It is Beatles.
Yesterday. Love that one. Oh, Cavatina.
Yes.
Oh. That's the Oblivion.
I love Piazzolla.
Yeah, I love Piazzolla too. Okay. That's Moon River, the Tokyo Guitar Quartet arrangement.
Yes.
All right. I love
You've
that
done
one.
really well. Also, this is a beautiful arrangement. I think everybody should go and check it out right now on YouTube because it's still up there. Okay, well, honestly, Kevin, I'm quite impressed because usually if somebody played me any of the pieces I've played, I'd just be stuck. I'd know it, I could sing it to you, but there's no way I could tell you who it was. So good for you. I do think everybody should go and check out Kevin's YouTube channel right now because it is full of amazing pieces performed beautifully. And honestly, just if you're having a bad day, I reckon just make a playlist of Kevin's videos and just lie down in bed and be happy because honestly, it's such beautiful music performed beautifully. So Kevin, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you so much for having me on.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to see what you do next. But for now, thank you, and everybody else, thank you for watching. Make sure to do all the stuff below. Please like, subscribe, all of that random stuff, and I'll see you next week. Bye.